Hello, my fellow project managers. Welcome to a quick touch point here with your friend Phil. I apologize for the severe delay in being able to start this meeting. I had a few technical hiccups. So why don't we get started talking about a few points from our last session, which was about the relevance of various knowledge areas on the exam. And I quite didn't finish talking about that. So I wanted to finish talking about that today. Those of you who are on the Savage on Saturday group, if you care to chat real time, you can join the webinar. The webinar information is in the group. Okay, but let me get done with this last part of our session from last couple of days. So we talked about integration and how big it is on the exam, resources, communications, procurement, and it was down to stakeholder. So I'm going to finish talking about stakeholder today, about its relevance on the PMP exam. So you can see I've broken out each of these areas that we're going to be covering from Monday to Friday. I've broken them out here into percentages on the exam. So I'm just going to go over stakeholder one more time so you get a good idea of what exactly is happening here. So stakeholder management is one of those areas that is significant because it has one of the two from initiating. So when you really boil it down, stakeholder management, the identify stakeholders process, that could be 6.5% of your exam. Planned stakeholder engagement could be 1% based on what we've seen in previous sessions. Managed stakeholder engagement, 3.1. See how the number's building up? You got 10.6 already right here. So that's the running total of what we have. And then last but not least, if you put in the 2.1 for monitor stakeholder engagement, 12.7% potentially. So when you add up all of these numbers, I mean, integration being the huge one, which is why I put it in red. But if you add up all of these numbers, what do you get? 63%. Just take a look at that. Add them all up, 63% of your exam. So when people say, oh, I just want to focus on the technical areas, forgetting that there's a lot of technicality in integration and resources, to be really honest, they forget that. And they focus on time, cost, scope, risk, quality, and they neglect these other areas. These are the areas that matter, okay? That matter most. Because if you do the maths, you see it's 63% versus these ones, which we calculated to be roughly 37%. Now, just because you see a bunch of questions on the exam, it does not mean that those questions are all the same number of marks compared to others. The secret many people forget is that the PMP exam questions are not all weighted equally. It may shock you, but they're not. Some questions carry more weight than others, but that's a different topic. That came directly to me from the PM&I way back. So this is not something I heard. This is something I gleaned from my interaction with them. So do not think that every question on the PMP exam carries the same number of marks. It does not. The last time I checked, the last time I corresponded with the PMI, way back, like a decade ago. But people don't ask these questions about, all the questions the same marks. They don't. They think they are, but they're not. And that's why you may feel that you're doing really well on a lot of the questions, but some of the questions that are bad may outweigh the good. See? So anyway, that's stakeholder for you right there. 12.7%. So compare stakeholder to communications or compare stakeholder to procurement. You can see stakeholder is significant. And then take a look at resources as well. This is where a lot of those situational questions are going to be hiding, right here. A lot of folks may not pay attention to that area, but if you just take a look at integration, resources, and stakeholder, just those three, take a look at those, that comes to 51% from just 3 knowledge areas. You see what I'm showing you here? So that's why when I tell people show up for the tech camp, I know what I'm talking about. We're going to go deep in these areas. We're going to go deep into how to analytically tackle these situational questions. There's a method to the madness. I'm going to show you how to think, how to reason, the reasoning logic behind a lot of these situational questions. If you come across a question, you've got no idea, I'm going to show you how to unravel answers from just looking at the options alone. How to be able to sort out those that are totally bogus and those that make more sense. It usually boils down to 2, but for the inexperienced eye, all 4 may seem to be the same. So I'm going to be showing folks how to do that next week in the tech camp, all right? So that is one of the things I wanted to tackle to finish this chapter of the 5 integration, resources, communications, procurement, and stakeholder. One more thing to do is to talk about the relevance of the individual processes of stakeholder management itself. So I'm going to put that in here, and I'm going to replace these with actual process names. So we have identify stakeholders, okay, which is significant because you're not just doing this once. You're not just doing identify stakeholders once. Identify stakeholders is being done all throughout the project. You're doing it a number of times, okay? The next one is plan stakeholder engagement. That's our next one. Again, it doesn't seem to carry as many marks, but it can be combined. You know, that's another thing to note about these exam questions. It is possible to combine a number of knowledge areas, but the answer comes from one knowledge area. You see what I'm saying? So the relevance of planned stakeholder engagement should not be underestimated. You know, we do our stakeholder analysis in other areas as well. So when you think about stakeholder analysis, it's not just in identifying stakeholders or planning stakeholder engagement. You can also do that in risk management, in plan risk management. And that whole dialogue happens again in communications when you're using your stakeholder engagement assessment matrix. So you got to think about data gathering and data analysis in this form of using your grids and your registers. It's a recurring theme. So these areas, they may seem small, like the planned stakeholder engagement may seem small based on my analysis, but remember, it can be combined with other things that carry a lot of weight, you know, like managed communications right here. Managed communications, let me just give you a color for these two. These two that I'm highlighting as purple, these can be combined. You know, what's worse is when this one, and this one are added into the mix, then you're like, what am I really doing? So you got to know this stuff well, you know, and what I mean by that is manage stakeholder engagement and monitor stakeholder engagement. People often get them mixed up, you see. So the bottom line is these are all very, very important processes, okay? Even if they don't carry as many marks, if they're combined with something else, you want to make sure that you know, pinpoint precisely what exactly they're all about. And that's how we arrive at 12.7 from stakeholder. Think about it. The project is for the stakeholder. These are the folks we're running the project for. So it makes sense for us to have this much weight You know, resources, again, these are the people who are working the project. It makes sense, you know, to see this is more accentuated compared to the other knowledge areas we're looking at here. You see, and then integration, it weaves every single piece together. That is why it is so significant, you see. So that is why next week is going to be heavy, really heavy. Okay. So if you've got any questions I can answer, I will be more than happy to do that. If you're on the live stream, feel free to shoot me. Hey, there is my buddy, Mohanad. Mohanad, how you doing today? I hope you're doing good. What's the time out there in Saudi? The time must be what? It must be late there. It must be like 1 in the morning, Mohanad. It must be like 1 in the morning. Mohanad has been working very hard. It's one of my hardest working students. He always shows up, does what he needs to do, doesn't run away from doing his work. He's a good guy. I'm really looking forward to him acing the exam. Mohanad, I'm hoping that you're still on top of it, still doing what you need to do every week. Ratan, how you doing? Prakash Ratan. How you doing, Prakash? I told you, I know your time, 1 a.m. I think we've had enough one-on-ones for me to kind of guess what time it is out there, Mohanad. So how's your studying for the weekend coming along? Are you about wrapping up for the afternoon? For the afternoon, for the night? Or do you sleep during the day and wake up at night? Which one? Oh, Prakash, it's 3:20 a.m. My goodness. Wow, you guys are going really, really strong. So tell me, Prakash, which knowledge area did you study today? Did you cover any of these knowledge areas I'm talking about here? Resources or stakeholder or integration? Mohanad, which ones did you cover? I'm actually going to go to the group, Mohanad, because I know you've asked some questions in the past few days. Let me go there and clear the queue and see if there are any questions I have not adequately addressed. So you asked a question about nibbling when Shri was talking about nibbling. So let me just say that nibbling is when a customer or stakeholder asks for extras. Can I have this? Can you give me this? Can I have an extra? Oh, just put this tiny little button there. And if you keep saying yes to nibbling, at the end of the day, you got so much big scope that is increased without increased schedule or cost. Even if you're salaried on a project, you should still negotiate schedule. You can't just keep saying yes, yes, yes to everything, right? You know? You can't. So that was one thing you brought up, Mohanad. Let's see. There was a question Shri posted about communication. And what I said is there are a lot of unauthorized question writers that just make questions out of nowhere without consideration for the language. You see, the PMI, they're very specific about the language. So if you find a question on the PMP exam, you know that it's gone through several students and the PMI are able to see if the question has trouble or not. But unfortunately, a lot of the questions that are out there today, people just make them up without consideration of the content outline, without consideration for Agile. You see, because Agile is now on the scene, we cannot just make up questions anyhow, without considering that in the world of Agile, things are very, very different. And we need to consider those flavors and, you know, self-organizing teams and teams that relish the ability to collaborate. So some of these questions that are out there are a little bit toxic. So Shri's question, the difference between scope creep and gold plating, it's a good one. So scope creep is the parent Gold plating is a child of scope creep. Scope creep, I said, is the parent of nibbling and gold plating. What's the difference? Nibbling is when the stakeholder or the customer asks, hey, Prakash, can you give me that feature? Just that feature, nothing else, just that tiny little bit. Please give it to me. And if you say, oh, yeah, okay, I'll just throw that in, no problem. What happens if they keep doing it again and again, and you keep saying, yes, yes, yes? That's nibbling. So I don't know if you guys have read a story called Stone Soup. There's a tramp that went into a village, and he went with his little bag and a stone, and he said, I've got a magic stone. It can make soup. And everyone got interested. And he said, you know, the soup would taste much nicer if we just had a little bit of salt. Someone brings the salt. Oh, the soup could taste a little bit nicer if you just brought the barley. Then they brought the barley. Oh, the soup could taste just a little bit nicer if you brought a few potatoes. Before you knew it, he had nibbled by asking for tiny little bits. And then they had a whole big, humongous, repository of soup, really delicious soup. And everyone in the village ate the soup. But at the end of the day, the tramp, he went out of the village with his stone. He said, oh, this is a magic stone. I've got to take it with me. But what the people didn't realize, he had nibbled his way to a ton of soup. And that's how a lot of requirements are treated. People keep saying, okay, you can have it, you can have it. Before you know it, it's costing you like thousands of dollars. So that's nibbling, one of the parents or one of the children of the parent scope creep. The other child of scope creep is gold plating. Gold plating is usually a willful addition. Someone on the team, decides to look good. So this has happened to me in the past. In a previous job, someone said, the customer said, can I have this? And instead of marketing and sales to let us retreat and think about it, no. Someone just stood up and said, yeah, we can do that. We can do that in a day. You cannot do that in a day. You've not even assessed or analyzed. So throwing in extras without going through the proper channel, that's gold plating. When someone on the team willfully adds extras to look good, we call it the Superman syndrome. You want to look good and like, oh, I was there for the customer. No, you weren't. You gold plated. So that's the difference. Mohanad said, what is ad hoc reporting? Good question. So ad hoc is a word that we use a lot here in the United States and other places to illustrate something done on the fly or something that is not part of the regular way that you would report. So the regular reports you would get would be from monitor and control project work, but an ad hoc report would be a report that is different, more like a customized or one-off. Maybe someone says, oh, can you give me a graph for TCPI? It's not very common. So you would look at that as something that you don't often do, but you're doing it differently from how you would normally report, and you provide that report. And that is done in managed communications. We use the term, Mohanad, we use the term one-off. So you might hear the term one-off, or you might hear, or you might see it being written as one-off, like I'm typing into the chat here. But ad hoc just means, a little bit different from how you would normally do it. The dictionary will say when necessary or needed. So when someone needs a report that is different from how you normally do it, we would say ad hoc. And I've typed that into the chat to help you. Another way of saying it is created or done for a particular purpose. And maybe the boss just says, I want to see all of your SPI trends since the beginning of the project. So you get an SPI trend showing what was the SPI in January, February, March, April, May. Maybe you typically don't do that. Maybe you typically just send one report that has the current status without showing a trend. But this time the boss wants a trend report. That's for a purpose. It's not all the time. That's what that means. Oh, you listen to your audio? Awesome, awesome, Mohanad. Yeah, very good. Yeah, you're going to do great, man. Just keep doing what you're doing. So Prakash studied integration. My goodness, the heaviest piece of it all. Nice. Very good. Did you discover anything new, Prakash? Because like when I study, I seek to find something new, even in the PMBOK guide, even though I've looked at it so many times. So I would say try to look for something new, you know, in integration. And when you study, that'll be my 2 cents. All right, let me go back. I think there was a few other questions here. I've missed a lot of your questions because, okay, I see Heather has helped you out with some of these. So disciplines, okay, she helped you out with that one. Okay, very good. Let me go back to the YouTube page and see. I did give a shout out to one of our major bosses. All our bosses are major, by the way. Krishnan got certified a couple of days ago. We have a meeting with Krishnan tomorrow. So those of you in the Savage on Saturday group, you should take a look at the announcements. And I advise you to join for that webinar tomorrow. Krishnan got 5 above targets. And that same student got all above targets in the CAPM exam. So this guy really knows what he's doing. You know, he's not playing games. I don't know of many people that got above targets in both the CAPM and the PMP. That is a beast. That's a beastly behavior. Being savage, taking the exam and tearing it into shreds like it's nothing, like it's paper. Very impressive, very impressive. So Krishnan is speaking to us tomorrow. Mohanad, I hope you got the invite. You don't want to miss it. If you're on the Savage and Saturday group, take a look. All right, got a few inputs here from some people in on our YouTube channel. Zugab said, let me see if I can share just a few of these with you because it's kind of tricky to let's see. Let me share the page. I think this is it. Okay. So this is from Zugab. Zugab said, hi, Phil. I just wanted you to know that this video really helped me to calm down. Also, the point about letting your family and friends quiz oneself is great advice and helps to diffuse some of the tension. I passed my exam yesterday. Woo! Well done, Zugab. Says, keep helping us. You're doing a wonderful job, man. Well, thank you, Zugab. I am absolutely delighted to hear that you have aced the test. Stuart, I'm curious to know how you did. Stuart says, oh my gosh, mine is tomorrow. After 12 months of studying, evenings and weekends, I'm ready, but I'm still unsure as I generally only get between 70 to 80% in mock tests. Well, Stuart, it really depends on the mocks, but I guess that was a day ago, so you're taking your exam today. I would love to know, Stuart, what, you know, the outcome. If you're getting 70 to 80 in the mock test, my question would be, which mock test? Because it's not necessarily about the mock test scores, it's about how much you've internalized and how you can apply that to the exam. So as long as you've done your best, you know, just leave the rest and do what you can. Okay, so as I'm here, I would like to answer any questions that my friends here right now might have. So Mohanad said, management focus on systems and structure. Leadership focus. Oh, good. Very good, Mohanad. So let me give you a little idea about this. Let's go to the whiteboard for this one. Okay. So when you think about leadership versus management, this is the major thing about leadership versus management. Let's put management here. Management and leadership. Okay. So when you think about management, you need to think about systems. In other words, putting a system in place to get work done, putting a system that can be repeated in place to accomplish organizational goals, you know. So systems and process. And most of the time when we talk about management, we're talking about not necessarily putting systems and process in place, but we're talking about the maintenance, like keeping it going. So like a manager is able to say, hey, do this, or do that, or don't do this, or continue doing this, or you didn't do this enough, do more. So it's about the maintenance, how you're able to maintain systems, process, and procedure. For example, getting people to do what they should, getting people to be on the conveyor belt, getting people to be on site, getting people to follow what is already in place. See, that's management. Leadership, on the other hand, is about a creation to create change. See, a leader will think, okay, we need to do this. So let's create a new system. Let's change the process and let's make a new procedure and let's do this. The leader has the vision. See, leaders are great with a vision. And then the people who actually do the stuff, they work under the management. So leadership is creating change, vision, painting a picture that other people are able to follow. So let me go back to what you chatted in, Mohanad. Mohanad said management focus on systems and structure. Exactly. So part of management is maintaining that structure, making sure people do not break the chain, making sure people follow the way it has been organized, follow the structure, follow the process, follow the systems. And then you said leadership focuses on relationships with people. Exactly. So relationships. Okay. So back to your question, Mohanad, you said, what is a system or what is structure? So a system is just a set of processes or procedures, a set of processes that enables you achieve something. It could be a set of tools along with processes, but it's a set of different steps and components that help you get something done. That would be the simple way of saying it. So a system for delivering a customer's deliverable, a system for creating a pizza and delivering it to the customer without the customer waiting 100 hours, and that system is a combination of processes and procedures. When we talk about structure, think more about the organizational structure. So when it comes to structure, you want to think about the set way that things are supposed to be, following the organizational structure, following the way things have been put together. So if the organizational process asset says you should report to your functional manager and nobody else if you find a problem, management is about following that structure, following the instructions that have been put together to follow a particular method or a particular way of doing something. See, so structure could be about organizational structure. It could be about a set of procedures that are meant to go through a certain channel to management. Does that help, Mohana? Does that make sense, all this stuff I'm saying? Is it helping you get a better picture? Is it helping you? Oh, the word system. So let me focus more on the word system. Yeah? Okay, let me focus a little bit more on the word system to give you a clearer picture. So I did explain system a few minutes ago, but let me give you some more context with the help of the dictionary. So it is a set of things that work together. Like I said, it could be many different pieces of a process, of software, of procedures. You see, so here, if I share this with you, let me share this with you. So take a look at my screen. This is from the dictionary here, but it is a good definition as well. So it states a set of things working together as parts of a mechanism or an interconnecting network. Think about a clock, Mohammed. A clock. A clock is a system of gears, you know, levers, if you will, chains, and tiny little components. That's a system. So I see where you're getting. So if you read chapter 2 in the PMBOK guide, that is all about systems. Systems are just a set of things that work together. A bicycle. You could look at a bicycle as a system. Wheels, handlebars, chain, brakes, all that stuff, that's a system. The other definition here is a set of principles or procedures. Like I said, it could be a mixture of all sorts of things. So here is principles or procedures according to which something is done. Does that make sense? That makes sense, Mohammed? You got it? Very good. Let's talk about a system that I created myself, which you already know. My Get Good system is a system for studying the PMBOK guide. It's a system. Get Good. It's a set of procedures that you need to follow, a set of principles as you're reading the PMBOK guide. What am I doing? That's a principle. If you're reading the PMBOK guide, you got to know what you're doing in each of those processes. What am I using? What am I using as a tool and technique? What am I using as an output? Where is my output going? Oh, my output is the project charter. It's going to develop project management plan. Okay, but why? And that's why I made it W squared. See? So what am I doing? What am I using? And then what am I getting? What am I getting out? I'm getting out my project charter. So this is a system. You know, it's a way, it's a set of processes to follow as you're reading the PMBOK guide. So I'm glad you got it. Very good. All right. Any other questions that I can answer for you? Cool. I'm glad you got it. Awesome. All right. The term logistics, very good. So when you hear logistics, logistics is attached to the word logic. So the dictionary definition of logistics, let me give you that. I always like using a dictionary and, if possible, the translation. So logistics. So the detailed coordination. In other words, think of it like this. It's the sense behind what you want to do. So if you say, I want to move from here to Saudi Arabia. The logistics of that move would be the logic and the coordination. Okay, how are you going to move? How are you going to get your car from here to Saudi? You know, what are the different pieces of paperwork that you would need to sign? What are the different things you would need to clear? And how are you going to move all these pieces? Are you going to call a shipping company? Is a shipping company going to put everything in a crate and it just appears where you're going? Are they going to set it up for you? So it's all about the logic, the how you're going to get this done, and how is everything going to be coordinated. So let me pull that up for you. You know, when we talk about shipping companies, a lot of it is the logistics, the coordination. How is it all going to happen? Let me share this page with you. So this is from Google, of course, a dictionary that's out there. And it says the detailed coordination. This is the major thing, Mohammed. This word right here, coordination. See, the detailed coordination of a complex operation involving many people, facilities, or supplies. Another one is the organization of moving. Another one is the commercial activity of transporting goods. Although that is kind of limiting, because logistics could be used for anything. Like delivering a deliverable. The logistics of implementing a new system. Let me not give you any labels of systems. I don't want to advertise, but the logistics of implementing a new system in a firm that has been using a previous system for 20 years. What are the logistics? When are you going to do the pilot? Are you going to do any pilot? Are you going to wait for the feedback? Are you going to do it in phases or in waves? You know, it's the coordination, the logic behind how something is going to be moved, how something is going to be implemented, how something is going to be executed. You can say it is the sense or the reasoning behind the execution, if you will, of a plan. Does that help? That makes sense? Let me know if that helps, Mohammed. All right. Prakash says, what is better, being person dependent or process/system dependent? Well, the preference should always be towards people, because people are the reason why we're working on the project. You know, they're the reason why we're doing the project. So it would make sense, Prakash, to depend on people that are the brains behind the process and the system, you see. So it's a very open-ended question, but I would rather take people any day over a process or system, because people are the reasons for the systems, and they are also the brains behind the systems, you know. So again, I don't think the word better is completely fair. It could depend on the circumstance at hand, but overall, when you talk about people, you're talking more about the leadership factor, which Mohammed was asking about. When you talk about process and system, you're talking more about management. So I would choose people any day personally, but I wouldn't say it's always better, but I would say if you gave me either, I would take people any day. Got it? Very good. Mohammed said the funny thing, the translation of logistics is is logistics, but in Arabic letters. That is hilarious. Yeah, we need people who can do a better job translating, can't we? I'm wondering what the PMBOK guide would say about that as well. Anyway. All right. Well, I don't think we had any people jump in from the group. So if that's it, I think I've cleared out my my queue of questions. And I will just say, if you've got any further questions, let me know now, or I will just hop off. Okay, the next question from Mohanad. A complex project may involve managing multiple contracts simultaneously or in sequence. That's true. In such cases, each contract lifecycle may begin and end during any phase of the project lifecycle. The buyer-seller relationship may exist at many levels on any one project and between organizations internal to and external to the acquiring organization. Oh dear, what is the PMI trying to say, says Mohammed. All right, let's take a look very quick. I'll try and make this very, very brief. So think about it on a continuum, Mohammed. This is a project, okay? And you got different phases on your project. You got phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and let's say phase 5. Okay, now for this phase, this is the analysis. In the analysis phase, you're going to get this contractor. I'll just call it C1. You got contractor 1, and you've got you. This is you. This is you. Okay? So you decide to contract with contractor 1 for the analysis. So you got a contract between you guys, and at the end of this milestone, this is the end of contract 1. That's the end. That was between you and contractor 1. Now in the design phase, you got another contractor. You got another contractor, C2. You're having another contract between you and C2. At the end of phase 2, that C2 contract is going to end, okay? And then you've got another contractor, contractor 3. You're also going to have a contract between you and them, and at the end of phase 3, so we got the develop phase, development, okay? At the end of phase 3, that ends, see? And then you've got another contractor who has been working closely, watch this. This contractor has been working closely with C3. So they have a contract between them, but on top of that, you have a contract between you and C4. And these guys, they've been following the development. These guys are now going to implement. See? That is a bit of a rough handwriting. Hello, Shri, welcome. This is going to be implement. Okay. And then you got a final one, which will be, actually, that should be test. Let's say they're going to test. Test first. And then we've got another one, implement. And you could say that this C4 person, this C5 person, again, C5 is a contractor that has been working with you from the beginning. Let's say you actually started here with C5 and they worked with you providing human resources and services all the way. Those services were supporting analysis, design, develop, test, and now they are in charge of the final implementation. So what do you see? You see many different contracts overlapping between different entities and carrying out different pieces of work throughout the project. So going back to what you shared, if we read it again, you said a complex project may involve managing multiple contracts simultaneously. So you can see the contract between C5 and C1 was going on from the beginning. Overlap, you see, happening at the same time is what they mean by overlap. And then the contract between you and C2 and then you and C3, those happen in sequence. Do you see that? So that's really what they mean. And they said, in such cases, each contract lifecycle may begin and end during any phase of the project lifecycle. You see what I'm saying? So you see how these contracts are starting and ending, some of them within one phase. So that's what PMI is actually trying to say. They're just trying to tell you that contracts can overlap on a project. Does that make sense, Mohammed? Does that make sense? I hope it does. Hey, Shri, how you doing? Do you have any questions? And how is your studying coming along? Well done on taking the mock. Have you done any work today, or are you still recovering from the mock? You seem to have bounced back very quickly, like almost immediately. That's a good sign. That's a good sign, Shri, because that tells me that you're reviewing. Okay. Can I unmute you so that you can see? Oops. Let me unmute you. Hold on a second. I've got multiple versions of Phil speaking, so I need to mute some of him. too many Phil speaking on my computer right now. That would not work out very well. Oh, uh-oh, he's still there. Let's see which of the Phils is talking. Not that one. Is it that one? I think it's this one. All right, let's stop him. And let's see what Shri has to say. All right. I think I unmuted. Are you there, Shri?
Yes, I am here.
Hey, Shri, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, good, good. Well done on that.
I can't hear you.
Hey, Shri, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, yeah, I've got a faulty microphone. So I was saying that you seemed to have recovered pretty quick.
Yeah, I was supposed to take it earlier for some reason. I got really sick. I got flu and all that, so I took a break. And then yesterday after work, I thought I had to take it, so I took it. And it was late. I didn't feel like reviewing it when I was super tired, so I decided to review it today. Some of them I made like silly mistakes, so which I could see after. But other mistakes I'm trying to review. I'm doing all the right ones and the wrong ones just to see if I got them by.
Okay, awesome. Very good.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Okay. So let me see.
So after this, I can take the 1 hour mark or just do 2020 or something like that, right?
After this, I would recommend taking, there's one mock that you and Lieutenant Colonel were trying to do that one. Yeah, I would recommend that one that you and LTC were playing with. Go there and face it again and see if see if you can get a different output. Okay. Yeah.
And after that, I can just do 2020 and then regular mock, right?
Yeah, so if you've taken the 2020 quizzes, the 2020 mock, you're going to find the 2020 mock to be rather easy, to be honest, because it's predominantly the same questions.
Okay. All right. But I didn't take 2020 recently, so I might try them again and then see how it goes.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, try it again, see what happens, see how it goes, and I'm sure you'll do well because you learn from mistakes, don't you?
Yes.
Have you really scoured the PMBOK guide thoroughly, and are you still using this?
I'm not using that much, but I'm reading PMBOK. So if anything is not clear in PMBOK, that's when I'm going to that orange book, if not just PMBOK.
Oh, not the orange book, the audio The
Yes,
audio digest.
yes. I'm using the audio digest on my way to work and coming back.
Good, good. Well, let me just let you know, Shri, well, I shouldn't say your score, but a few marks away from the passing score, that is in the top, I just say you're in the top 30%, because a lot of people don't even get up to a 40 on this exam. So it's, so, you know, you get in far above that, just a few marks away from the passing score on the marathon mark is also different, bear in mind, because a video I sent you last night, that is actually for a different mark. And that different mark.
Yeah, I realized that after.
Yeah, so that's the mock Dustin took, the final mock Dustin took that he talked about in his lessons learned.
Okay.
That video is for that mock. But for the marathon mock, just subtract 10, you know, because the passing score for the marathon mock is 60.
Right.
The passing score for the other mock, the PMP exam, prep camp mock exam is 70. So just subtract 10. And that's why I said you're really close. I actually have a student that got less than you did on the marathon mock, and he passed the real exam, you know, with a number of above target. So, you know, while it's a red light, at the same time, doing that well is also very encouraging. So just close your gaps, and I'm looking forward to you acing it, killing it, killing the real exam. I know you're going to do it. So
when I see people getting above targets, so do they do like 10% more than average, or how does it work?
So the way it works for someone like Dustin, who got 4 above targets, the way I can kind of predict what will happen as far as that is concerned is when the person tells me, I'm ready, I'm baked, I'm cooked, I've never taken this PMP exam, prep camp mock exam before. And when they take it and get above a 70, that tells me that they're ready. So it's not necessarily the marathon mock alone that tells me, it's the marathon mock and the other one Dustin mentioned, the one you haven't taken. So if you were to take that and you get a 75 or 78, I wouldn't expect anything less than 3 ATs from you.
Okay.
Yeah. But now the one that you took, people who take that on their first attempt and get like a 67, a 69, that tells me they're going to really kill the exam really bad. Kill it like with a vengeance, because Dustin didn't have the pleasure of taking that for the first time. You know, he had taken it before. So what I really used to gauge how prepared he was the second mock. So for me to be able to use a mock to accurately predict, it must be the first. And for me to be able to gauge above targets and stuff like that, they would have to get like at least 5 to 10 marks above the passing score. The marathon mark, I don't think anyone on their first try have gotten in the 80s ever. It's always been in the 60s, maybe a few outliers, maybe 1% of people have got in the 70s. So your score was very good yesterday. It's a very good, great attempt. And it just shows me that you've really got it down. And since you were a bit sick, you know, it was a very, very good run for your money. So I was happy to see the score, because it told me, yes, you're getting the information, you're internalizing it. All I would say is just stay focused on, maybe you may want to teach family members.
Yeah.
Go teach family members, and you know, like your husband was already understanding the PMBOK guide, teach him and see, you know, he'll tell you if you're doing a good job. So try to teach him integration without looking at the book, or cost without looking at the book, you see.
Okay.
That's what I would recommend. Yeah, I don't know if you heard the lesson that one student before this told me. He said he got his family involved and his family were asking him questions, that it was a great piece of advice. Seriously, if your family members can stay on top of you to ask questions, it will just be phenomenal. And I believe in it so much that I'm creating a series of videos for kids to test their parents on the PMP exam.
That's nice. Awesome.
You want to hear it?
Hello, kids.
Sure.
Your daddy are getting ready for the PMP exam. You ask them questions. The first question that you need to ask them to make sure they do not forget is, what is the EAC? The EAC.
Believe it or not, I'm really serious about this because I've heard it from so many people. One of my students out of Canada, his kids ended up knowing the ITTOs more than he did. And they would torture him until he got the answer correct. But he's now a PMP.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they tortured him until he knew the ITTOs. Kids, they're so clever. Don't underestimate them, you know.
Yep.
So if I were you, I would ask family members, and that's to me, that would really help you a lot, because you would teach them and you would learn, oh, I don't actually know that. You see what I'm saying? So
yes. Also, Krishnan passed the exam yesterday, right? Is that the same person who is in our group, Krish?
It probably is.
Krish Iyer or something.
Yes.
The same one. Oh, okay.
Krishnan is a busy man, so he's going to speak to us tomorrow at 7 Eastern. So I've posted the meeting invite in the group. Mohanad, I hope you're going to be there. I'm not sure if the time will be very convenient for you if you've got work the next day, but I have put all that information into the group. So I'm hoping that.
See, he got all above targets, right? All 5 of them.
Huh?
Krishnan got all.
Yeah. He got 5 ATs. He sent me. He got 5 ATs on the PMP, and he also got 13 ATs on the CAPM. So.
So he did CAPM before PMP.
He did CAPM a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, like a lot of people, I think it's a great. I think it's a great idea. In fact, that reminds me. I'm glad we're talking about this, because I got a question from one of our friends out of somewhere in Asia. Let me grab that email. I'm glad you asked me that question, because his question, I should probably take that now. His question was about the CAPM exam. Yep, Abdul Aziz Salam. So he says, Dear Phil, I'm sure that one of the best things that happened to me so far is the discovery of Phil and Praizion channel on YouTube. You have inspired me immeasurably, and I'm most grateful. Thank you, Abdul Aziz. I appreciate it. He said, I really want to go the long haul with the PMI, and I believe you will make a great mentor for me. I have a BSc Electrical Electronics, work with a company that's into engineering projects. My title is Project Engineer. I've been on several projects. Mohana, does that sound familiar? Although I am not the PM, I'm quite confident that I will meet the eligibility criteria for the PMP exam. But given my interest in and passion to study project management and become a respected professional like you, I want to start on a clean slate with the PMI, soak up and imbibe concepts, and take in the CAPM first, and then progress into the PMP. Meanwhile, I have in the past 2 years written project management courses with IPED. I got grade A's in principles of project management. Awesome. Okay. Said he's bought a copy of the PMBOK guide and is studying gradually with my YouTube videos. Please advise. Yeah, he says, should I take the PMP or CAPM? Go for the CAPM, Abdul Aziz, all right? Go for the CAPM, have a solid foundation. It's good that you're asking these questions. And the CAPM is low cost, and you can even take it right there in your company. If you've got a dedicated video camera, and you've got a dedicated connection, you can take the CAPM right there in your office without much ado. So I would say prepare for the CAPM, get it done in the next 2 months or less, and then move to the next level for the PMP. And then, of course, I'll be more than happy to work with you in mentoring and coaching and stuff. Like I have many other students, Mohanad is one of my students I mentor one-on-one. So you can always get the one-on-one information on pmsucceed.com. So if you go to pmsucceed.com and you hit the button that says one-on-one coaching right there, you can sign up for one-on-one coaching. 30 minutes, 1 hour, it's all there. Okay. So yeah, come on board and let's help you do what you need to do. All right. Any further questions? Shri, have you got any other questions? So your next...
You mentioned about another mock that Destin took. Is that on LMS?
Oh yeah, that's the second mock in the list called PMP exam prep camp mock exam.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll find it. It's there. I think I sent you all three maybe a month or two ago.
Yes.
So just check what I sent you. It's there.
All right.
That is the flagship mock. So whenever I talk about the history of our mock exams over the past 10 years, that is the mock that, you know, has been consistently accurate in predicting success.
So that's going to be harder than marathon mock, right?
It's funny because when Dustin took it, his comment was, wow, I've never seen any of those questions ever before anywhere. But he passed it really well. So,
okay.
You know,
marathon mock, I thought it's going to be even harder, but I felt it was not too hard.
Good. And it's because you've been marinating all the information and getting really prepared.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the thing about the marathon mock is it will take time to read the questions.
Yes.
And for some people that are not as experienced as yourself, it takes them time to understand the question.
Yes.
So
that's why the first 50 questions took me a long time. So later on, the last 50 questions, I didn't have much time. I had like 20 to 30 minutes. So I was literally rushing.
Wow.
Yeah, I need to work on my time.
Yeah, and on the real exam, because you've got a different navigation system, on the real exam, you're able to jump like just from question 1 to 200 really quick without much ado. You're able to mark. So it's going to be a little bit different. I would advise you to go for your walkthrough. Maybe you can go for the walkthrough 2 or 3 weeks before. Just go to the Prometric Test Center, get familiar, just, you know, get into the mood. Maybe you should actually leave this to the last week. Don't do it so early so that you could still be in that zone, because answering questions on the PMP exam really well and in a time efficient manner requires that you be in the zone. You know, you're kind of like, oh, I'm familiar with this. The environment, I'm familiar with the environment. I'm comfortable. You know what I mean? So yeah, do that a week leading to your test.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will do that. Thank you.
Cool. You're welcome, Shri. Always good to talk to you. Thank you for jumping on. And all my other friends on YouTube, thank you for joining us. If you have any questions now, chat them in, because Shri and I are going to be jumping off here in a second. You got any further questions or concerns about your PMP journey? Come on now. Going once. Going twice. You know, it's 3 o'clock. Prakash needs to go to bed. And he's been on the journey with us for an hour here. He needs to go to bed. And Mohanad should be about 2 a.m. in Saudi now. So I need to let you guys go to sleep. All right? All righty. Well, if there are no further questions, thank you all very much for joining. And just remember, you can always ask questions. Always just send them to the group, and you know, we'll be more than happy to get back to you. All right. Okay, Shri. Well, have a good rest of the weekend, and take that next mock exam. Let me know how you do.
Sure, I will. Thanks, Phil.
All right. You're welcome. Yeah. All right. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.